Yo, what's good with y'all, man? Back again with another article. And so for this video, I just wanted to introduce y'all to my Dear Negro series. I realized that I haven't even started this series yet on the YouTube, and I definitely feel like this is, it's one of my favorites. It's one of my better, um, you know, series of articles, and I definitely think that my target audience and my target demographic, they'll like it. I think you guys will like it. And I definitely want y'all to be exposed to the information, that I'm putting out there in this series. But anyway, so for volume 1, I had talked about one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and two of my favorite characters in animation of all time. Those being Huey and Riley Freeman, and essentially I talked about how um, a lot of people, specifically in my community, the so-called black community, they emulate Riley. They have the spirit of Riley. And how I believe that our people should be striving to be like Huey, be more like Huey. And I try to talk about this, if I remember, at the end of the article, because y'all know, like, there's a whole esoteric aspect to these characters, just like in every TV show, every piece of mainstream media. So, I'm pretty sure I'll talk about it at the end. So I'll just save that. But anyway, let's get into it, man. So this would be, like I said, Dear Negro Volume 1. And the title of the article is Be Like Huey. If you're reading this, I'm assuming you love the Boondocks as much as I do. If you haven't seen the show, you should watch it immediately, as it provides a wealth of social commentary in regards to the social phenomena present in the so-called black community. Speaking of social phenomena in the black community, I'm sure we're all aware of the various stereotypes and stigmas associated with so-called black men. Deadbeat dad, criminal, pimp, drug dealer, thug, athlete, rapper, and the list goes on. It's no wonder why so many of our young men consistently embrace these archetypes and the often deleterious lifestyles that come with them. So, bro, I do not like Playboy Cardi, y'all. I'm sorry. If any of y'all watching this and y'all like Playboy, look, man, more power to you, bro. But, bro, this dude is so goofy, man. My boy in Pip named Slick Back, you already know what's going on. Then you got LeBron. I'm actually gonna I plan on doing an article about LeBron. I don't really know how I'm gonna do it yet, but I know what I want it to be about. So that'll be coming in the relatively near future. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then big brr. Continuing. But why? Why do we continue to embrace destructive lifestyles? Why do we continue to worship celebrities, idols, and puppets? Why do we continuously emulate Riley instead of Huey? You should meditate on the answers to these questions, as they are at the root of the various problems that plague our community. I don't believe this phenomenon is due to a lack of positive role models, but instead has to do with our own ignorance as well as a lack of integrity and willpower. While most mainstream depictions of so-called black men tend to be negative, there are several candles in the dark, one of them being Huey Freeman. I want to evaluate the differences between Huey and his chaotic younger brother Riley to highlight the consequences of their opposing lifestyles, as well as illustrating why I believe Huey is worth emulating. By evaluating the character archetypes of Huey and Riley Freeman, we will gain a greater understanding of our social dilemmas, as well as methods to correct them. So why should you be like Huey? So first off is intellect. The most prominent difference between these two characters can be seen through their respective intelligence levels. With a verbose vocabulary and a portfolio of inventions on his resume, it's clear Huey is light years ahead of Riley when it comes to intellectual pursuits. But why? Why is the gap so vast when these two characters have identical parents and backgrounds? I've noticed several key differences that I believe are the cause of this gap. Number 1, Huey is a reader. Number 2, Huey is a thinker. Number 3, Huey wants to learn. So you see Huey in the lab cooking up. You already know. My boy reading. My My boy reading again. This was a great episode. I know a lot of people didn't really like season 4. Um, I thought it was great, man. Like but I really love this episode. The whole Breaking Bad parody and I like this. That was one of my favorite episodes of season 4. But then you see again my boy Huey, just like by chance, typing up his articles, putting in that work. Keep going, young boy. Anyway, in my view, these 3 character traits are responsible for the intellectual differences between the 2 brothers. Throughout the series, we see Huey inventing hair products, writing plays, and curating apocalypse contingency plans. Riley, on the other hand, is seen skipping class, bullying other kids, worshiping rappers like Gangstalicious and Thugnificent, and doing hood rat stuff with his friends. Y'all know I don't like to cuss, man. But yeah, you see, I think that was from Shining, maybe. The episode where Riley got that chain. I don't remember this episode. Got that Migos in his hand. Smoking with cigarettes. Yo, he was a menace, bro. Like, yo, the end of it, bro. Y'all remember the end of the episode where like the detective jumped off the roof on top of him, bro? Like, bro, that was a funny episode. And then, that was a great episode too. The fundraiser. My president black, my Lambo blue. Yeah. Anyway, be like Huey, man. But like I said, even though these 2 characters came from, the same environment, they're brothers, they have such a stark contrast and juxtaposition between them. And I think that is reflective, more so of like the type of spirit you have and the type of character that you embody. Because a lot of people like to talk about how like it's like nature over nurture, like where your environment is like has the biggest influence of who you become. But look, man, there are a whole bunch of people that come from the hood who, go on to be massively successful, great people. And then there are a lot of people like I went to Catholic schools. I went to, one of the best private schools in Ohio growing up. And it's, you would have these, so-called black people who would be, from the suburbs, but they would be trying to act all hard, trying to act like Riley. Like, so it's, it's not just like about your environment. It's really about the type of person that you are, So, try to be a good person, I guess, basically. Like, don't embrace these lifestyles. But anyway, so the second thing that differentiates these 2 characters is athleticism. So next, let's evaluate the athletic prowess of both characters, specifically their affinity for martial arts and fighting. Throughout the series, we see that Huey has seemingly mastered an array of fighting styles and abilities, ranging from kung fu to classic anime-style karate. He's proficient in numerous weapons and has been shown to display an astounding level of strength and endurance. He is also a kickball prodigy. So that's one thing that I really, really like about the Boondocks is that it's realistic. It talks about, the various social issues and, archetypes and, ideologies within our community. But it also mixes in like, that like cartoony, like unrealistic, like those unrealistic things, like Huey being like bro, like y'all get what I'm saying. But anyway, I was about to say I love the kickball episode. I know I'm saying I love all, but bro, like the Boondocks is so fire, bro. I remember especially at the end. Y'all remember when he did like that little like Kamehameha around the kickball, bro, like that, bro. I still remember my first time seeing it to this day. But that was a great episode, man. Continuing. While Riley has shown glimpses of athletic prowess, specifically in basketball, balling, he is sorely lacking in this department compared to his brother. There have been multiple duels between the brothers in the series, and Huey has consistently dominated Riley. Riley hasn't seemed to master a single fighting style aside from basic street fighting, as opposed to his brother who is proficient in multiple advanced styles. I feel that as a man, it is very important to be proficient in at least one fighting style. Men are supposed to be protectors, right? If you can't protect yourself, how can you hope to protect your family? I'm sure many of you grew up watching superheroes and anime. Every character in these shows, from Goku to Batman, is an amazing fighter. I'm guilty of not taking this fact seriously in my youth, but I am making efforts to correct this now. I would also encourage you to study a martial arts style that interests you. So you see, I think this is the episode where he fought that kid named Butch, I think. Dude that took his chain. Ballin' was a great episode. That boy Riley had them Kyrie handles, but bro, that jump shot was oof. That Michael Kidd Gilchrist jump shot. I hate his name, bro. Long name. I think this may have been from Home Alone. That was a great episode, but look at that. Look at him. Ush. Hey. Checkmate, boy. Okay. Huey be bullying him, bro. Anyway, be like Huey, man. So finally is their character, like I mentioned before. They came from the same environment, but they're literally the exact opposite of each other. And I'm sure some of y'all have experienced that. A lot of us have experienced that. You might have a brother or a sister who is like completely different from you, even though y'all have the same parents, y'all grew up in the same household, went to the same schools. You're like completely different. Like, anyway, so finally, let's evaluate the character and personality traits present within each character. It's very clear that these two characters are representations of the concept of duality. So this is where, like I said earlier, that I'm going to talk about some of the esoteric things. If you read Culture Creation Volume 2, then you should be able to discern what these two characters represent. Huey represents the proverbial good twin, the righteous aspect displaying the higher angelic nature. Riley represents the proverbial bad twin, the wicked aspect displaying the lower demonic nature. In biblical terms, they represent the war between flesh and spirit, life and death, God and Satan. Though these two characters were through these two characters, we not only see another manifestation of the eternal battle between good and evil, but also a reflection of the inner conflict that so many so-called black men struggle with today. And far too many of us are choosing the wrong side. Be like Huey. So yeah, just before we end out, I feel like, and I believe I mentioned this earlier in the article, that we all have, an aspect of Huey and Riley within us. A good example is like, the classic angel and demon on your shoulder. The one angel is like Huey's telling you like, hey, do this, don't do that, turn the other cheek. And Riley is like, hey, man, like, nah, bro, you being disrespectful. I'm like, it's, you get what I'm trying to say? Bro, this episode, bruh, Riley, what are you doing, bro? But anyway, so yeah, all of us have, those two aspects, whether you want to call it, the shadow and the higher half. So I think our goal should be to be like Huey, be like, the higher half, the superior man per se. Anyway, dear Negro, would you rather be smart or ignorant? Wisdom and knowledge require work. Are you willing to put in this work? Are you willing to read consistently? Are you willing to seek knowledge? Do you believe all men should be proficient in a fighting style? If not, what would you do if you or your family were injected into a violent situation with no alternative but self-defense? What type of person do you want to be? What do you want your reputation to say about you? Would you rather be righteous or wicked? And do your definitions of righteous and wicked align with biblical principles? Once again, we have far too many Rileys and not enough Hueys scattered throughout the so-called black community. Hopefully, this evaluation will assist you in breaking away from the mental bondage and negative thought patterns that so many of our people embrace. I also hope that it will facilitate an acceptance of the true heroes of our community through characters like Huey Freeman. And remember, y'all, be like Huey. So, yeah, that was volume 1 of the Dear Negro series. I saw a couple. Every time I go back and read my earlier articles, it just it really humbles me because I'll see certain like punctuation and spelling errors, and so I'll make sure I fix those before, by the time you click on this article, it should be crispy clean. But anyway, hopefully that made sense to you guys. I really try to show people biblical principles and, righteous thought patterns through mainstream media, because that's something that we can all relate to. Like, I don't want to be over righteous or act like I'm the perfect person, but I see so much, in these TV shows and these movies, and I'm trying to articulate it to you guys and to, show you guys what I see. So hopefully, even if you don't necessarily agree, you can at least see why I say the things that I say, or, the points that I'm trying to make. But yeah, I remember writing this article. I was really happy with that at the time. It was one of my first articles where I kind of branched out from, the purely informational, scholarly, like hidden history, culture, creation type, where I kind of wrote it from my heart. This is one of like my first, like, straight from the heart articles. Y'all saw, like, there's no references, bro. I just, like, these were just all, my thoughts, because I love this show, and I really appreciate the impact that it had on me in my childhood, and it'll always hold, a special place in my heart. But yeah, bro, hopefully you guys liked it. Hopefully you guys can meditate on this, and you can try to feed your Huey, feed your spirit more than you feed your flesh, more than you feed Riley. And for those of you who are listening who may, be a Riley, a Pookie and Ray Ray per se, I hope that, you can do whatever you want, man. But I hope that you really evaluate, what happens to people who embrace those lifestyles. It always ends in one or two ways, and like those two, those two ways. And for my Hueys out there who, people don't appreciate your intelligence, or you might feel like an outcast, or you may feel like you just don't belong. It's okay. There are other people out here like you. There are other people who think just like you, and keep grinding, man. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next post. I appreciate you guys for listening, as always, and by chance.